try to, well, I better unplug that fan that keeps my wooden server rack cool. So, third attempt to make a decent video. Let's try it this way. So this is my IBM point of sale machine running a Pentium 4 CPU and Windows XP. It is running just one application. That's all it does. And what it does is it connects to my, it updates my DDNS server address so that way I can access my rack remotely. This switch isn't really doing anything right now. It's a 10100 switch. It is a Catalyst 2950 series switch. And then I got this other one that's also a 2950 series. The exact, I can't see underneath it to see what this is, and I have it screwed in, so. This is with my HP ProCurve. Let's see if I can get a good picture of that for you guys. It's a ProCurve switch 2810-24G. The SOP slot that I ordered on the card thing will have an LC connector which connects to SC on here. These SC connectors, is that one? That one's safe to unplug, okay. They're only gigabit, 850 nanometer. I plan to get a 10 gig switch at some point, but that's not exactly my top priority because this works and I don't have my NAS's, my hard drives are just these two disk shelves, and they're connected to my, directly through SAS cable to my Dell PowerEdge R820. I plan to use my NetApp disk redundant, like it's a disk shelf. It has 2 controllers in it, and they're so for redundancy, and that's gonna have these on it, or I might just get more disk shelves. I think it was like $200 plus shipping. And then my Dell PowerEdge R710 is not currently in use, but this is my Cisco switch. The guy said it was a 2951, but right here it says 2911, which doesn't really matter for my purposes because it works just fine. This is my incoming internet connection. This is the outgoing my network. And then, so this is my server network. This one here is going to be my SAN. It has these 4 ports here, which are, let me get a picture of that. VIC2 4FXO connector, which is for hooking up to outside analog lines. This one here, which is a VIC3 2FX/DID, is for connecting to actual phones. So when I move all of this and get my racks and stuff, and move everything to a new facility instead of my parents' basement, this will hook up to 2 analog phones. These are going to be just those standard household analog phones. This will hook up to my incoming line. Then in the offices, I'll have VoIP, Cisco VoIP phones. This is going to be the trunked line for these analog interface lines. I'm thinking of using an Asterisk server which is a free PBX software. This is a PNY 240 gigabyte SATA 3 6 gigabytes a second SSD I got for free. It's a CS900 SSD. It hasn't given me any problems yet, but I don't really use it for very much. It was originally for my Minecraft server, but right now my Minecraft server is running on these 4 drives set up in a JBOD configuration on this 2.5-inch NetApp disk shelf. Unplug that so you can get a better picture. It is a DS2246 shelf, and then below that I have my other disk shelf. One 10 terabyte drive and 4 terabyte drive, 4 1 terabyte drives. Then I have 10 of these 450 gigabyte drives, and then one 300 gigabyte drive. Currently I'm only using these 2 for the archive project, so any new files get downloaded to this, and then when they're complete, it gets sent to here. So that way this drive, because this is shingled magnetic recording, it's not actively being accessed, so I guess I can unplug that if it will slide out. It is a Seagate Iron Wolf NAS, 10 terabytes, shingled magnetic recording. So shingled magnetic recording is a pain when it comes to erasing and writing new stuff, but when it comes to just reading stuff, you're fine, because it has to move everything around, and it's just a mess. So I use that for the stuff that's been completed. And this drive here, which is a Dell Constellation ES.3 drive with 4 terabytes of storage, is for any new data that gets downloaded. And the way the archive project, at least the way I work with it, is they download, everything's set up in a torrent server, so it's peer-to-peer, and then I download the ones I'm interested in, and then I'm interested in preserving, and then put them on here. I plan to have a petabyte worth of storage eventually. That's 1024 terabytes, and that's going to cost quite a bit of money if I ever get to that point. This is a 4 terabyte drive. I already talked about that one. These 4 1 terabyte drives are Seagate Constellation ES drives, and so basically I think this one was just a rebranded Seagate drive. Or wait, was that Dell? I don't remember. So if I can get a picture. And this is a SAS drive. So if I can get using my phone because I don't have a decent connection. So it's a SAS drive, which means there's no space in between the SATA and power right here. And I have 4 of those. These 450 gigabyte drives are also SAS, and so is a 300 gig. But the 4 terabyte and 10 terabyte were SATA drives. I think this one cost me $250 something. It might have been more in space. So my Dell PowerEdge 820 has these 6 drives currently. I plan to expand it with 2 more in these slots. They're 500 gigabytes each. I hope to increase the storage to 1 terabyte on each one of these eventually. is not really my top priority because, well, I'm just trying to save up to move to a bigger space. So it has these, some of them are Seagate, some of them are Western Digital, 500 gigabyte drives, and they are probably not the brightest idea. We're moving it, and now it's gonna do copy back over and blah 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 because it thinks that this is a new drive. But this is RAID 1, so these two drives are identical. Same thing here, RAID 1 identical, RAID 1 identical, then JBOD across all of these, so that way I have 1.5 terabytes roughly storage. Eventually I'll have about 2 terabytes with storage when I do get 2 more 500 gigabyte drives. I had 2 more, but the problem is they weren't, the SAS controller wasn't recognizing them. And then eventually I'll upgrade these all to 1 terabyte drives. And this is just, when I create a VM, the first drive I always set up on this redundant, so that's the boot drive, because I need fast connection. It's going to read faster on these RAID zeros for read and then write, so that gives me some redundancy, so I don't have to worry about losing the boot partition or anything like that. And then these are all set up just directly. I just use these for any additional storage for the VMs. The problem being, none of these are redundant, so I have to remember to back them up. I could write software to do that, but I'm not at that point yet. And eventually, when I do get my NetApp, I think on the 24th, and then I get some more disk shelves, those will be set up for redundancy, so then I'll have more redundancy when I get to that point. So not really all that much has been going on here. Still trying to learn to be better with making videos and stuff. Last video I believe I showed how this broke, so I used hot glue to fix it. And I mean, I know that's not exactly the brightest solution, but it works. I mean, it recognizes it and everything, so hey, if it works, dope. I guess you can't really fault it for working. This R710, when I get vCenter and like a license for those, for vCenter, ESXi and all that, these two will be set up for ESXi, and then I'll run vCenter so I can vMotion my VMs from one machine to another. These disks will no longer be used for that because I'll stick them in here, and then those will be on my NetApp, and then I'll set up iSCSI so that way the drives can be accessed remotely through iSCSI to these two servers. These two servers won't have any hard drive space. They'll just, ESXi will boot up off USB. Get that out. If you can tell, in there's a USB thing in there. It's kind of hard to work with because I don't have the rails for these yet, and so when I move to the new place, I plan to have a couple of actual 42 racks instead of this wooden thing. This wooden thing will be put in my office as a decoration, basically, with one server in it I would hook up as my actual desk computer, and then I'll probably just get those drawers you can mount these things, so I can have this next to my desk as like a filing cabinet. But I have a couple 42U racks, and I plan to have Cisco routers in each one, and that way they'll all be on, like each rack could be on their own network. But my actual, everything that's my personal stuff would be on one rack, and then I would have 4 more for people to be able to play with, like the equipment, and they could set up however they want. So I'd have like a sort of like coat hanger like thing, not here obviously, but if you can visualize it, it's like a piece of wood with some posts sticking up on it, and that will have my Ethernet cables, power cables, and fiber cables hanging on there, so that way people can, when they can cable up stuff when they set up. And I'm thinking of it as a place where people can learn and play with, like, mostly end-of-life equipment or just used equipment in general. All the equipment at the new place will be stored on these kind of racks, and then people would be able to pull the stuff and set it up in the whatever 42U rack that they choose to use. Or if they choose to use multiple 42U racks, and then have like 2 of them set up for the SAN, using NetApp controllers, and set them up for high availability. They could do that, and then have all the servers that do the actual processing here on another one, and then one for networking, or however they choose to do it. I just figured that would be a good start. This is a 500 gigabyte drive that I have. I had 2 of them. I actually put one in a laptop, but the problem was this server here won't recognize it for some reason. The hard drive is perfectly fine. I plugged it into a computer and run tests on it. It's fine. It just won't be recognized by the server. So when I get to that point, I figured the reason I started a GoFundMe is because, well, my ambition far outweighs how much money I have. So if I want to create this hobby space, which people pay like $40 a month membership to be able to come and play with the equipment, or even like I would have like a soldering station for working on component level electronics with some drawers similar to these drawers here, set up so people can like have supplies there. Each person would have like a banker's box to keep their personal projects in, and then they could come there, and it's just like an electronics place for people to play with old hardware, new hardware. Like here's if I end up getting a tape library, I'd end up needing this. It's a SCSI controller. The problem is this one's PCIe. This is a graphics card. Here's a SATA controller, but that one's also not going to work for many of the servers I currently have. So I plan to either have adapters or, more servers that people like, through historical servers that people can play with. I have a box full of motherboards right there. Has one CD-ROM drive on top. That there's from when I was playing with different ideas of setting up different ways of setting up a storage, like a way for my SAS cables. So these down here are just hot swap hard drive bays, and then you got my had a cable that would connect through SATA, and then it has a SAS connector on the other end, and then I have a regular computer power supply to power that, like would be in like a regular computer rack, and then I had a SAS controller card in the back of that unit, that SAS expander, and that way people could, that way it could expand the 4 incoming SAS lanes to however many drives I have set up. And I have 3 of those SAS expanders, each one with 4 SATA SAS connectors on like internal, and then it has two external, one input, one output. So I could hook one up to the other, and then to the other, and then I could have the. So that means I can have 16 drives per controller, and then that means I would have 32 for 2 controllers, and then I would have 48 drives total for that. But then I found out, because that's like cost me like, I think it cost me about $300. I found out that these are cheaper and hold 24 drives, and I don't have to deal with all that mess. So that's where that's going, is when I get. So I may still use that for something, but it's not exactly like I have plans for it at the moment. Obviously, this works fine for like a desktop computer, but this UPS would not work for rack mount, so I'd have some rack mount UPSs for people to use, and a minimum of 2 per rack if they have enough current output. But most of the ones I see online don't have enough current output, so I'd end up having to have more than 2 per rack, so that way they would have enough available power for the equipment they put in. And because, I mean, if you're going to be playing with computer networking hardware, why not do it right and have redundant power and that kind of stuff. My current, accidentally unplugged that, but if I can switch that to watts, I currently draw about 1,200 watts. And now, because I unplugged it, everything that wasn't on UPS is rebooting. So everything that wasn't on UPS is going to be this router here, this fiber switch, this switch, and this switch. These servers down here, half of it is on just a power strip that is not have a UPS, so it just basically plugs into there. And then the other half, like the other half of the power supplies, plug into that UPS right there. I have another UPS which doesn't work. Right here, it's a backup UPS Pro 1500, and it's APC, just like this one's APC, but that one doesn't work. So when I get moved to the new place, this one will be on my desk. I mean, well, it doesn't need to be on the desk, but it would go to my office, which is where I, do my, designs or that kind of stuff. Like, I plan to have a binder where I will have some different scenarios that people can come and pull them off the shelf and look at the different situations that, what could I do with this equipment or any of that equipment. So that's just an idea. Yeah, I know I keep too many tabs open. Every time I see a video I like, I just create a new tab. Because the router and everything's still rebooting, I'm waiting for... I don't have internet right now on this computer. Well, I guess that's all I can show you guys. I hope you all find this video better than my last, but if not, leave a comment, let me know. That's about all I have to say.